Blue Lock was created for one reason, to produce a striker capable of carrying Japan to World Cup glory. But what if we applied that same logic right now? What if we built the current U20 Japan team around one single player to lead them to victory? That's exactly what we're doing in this video. We're taking on the role of ego and building Japan's ultimate U20 team entirely built around Shidou Ryusei. But before we start piecing together this lineup around Shidou, we need to quickly go over what makes him such a dangerous player, and more importantly, who actually fits around him. Now, I already broke all that down in Shidou's scout report video, so if you haven't seen that, be sure to check it out. But to pull away a few key points from that video, Shidou's primary role is as a striker, specifically a poacher, a player who lives from the chaos inside the box. And based on his playstyle, the ideal archetypes that can link up with him are playmakers, traditional wingers, target men, and shadow strikers. Now that's a lot of archetypes for Shidou to potentially link up with, but we don't actually need to force all of them into this lineup. That said, there is one formation that can naturally include every role that complements his playstyle, that formation being the 3-4-1-2. However, that's not the system we'll be using in this video. Instead, I've gone with a 3-4-2-1, and based on the roles I'm going to give the players, it honestly will play more like a 3-4-1-2, but on paper, we go with 3-4-2-1 just to make it more centered around Shidou. But once we get to the attacking section, you'll see exactly why I'm saying all this, because there's a little surprise pick that will explain all this. The 3-4-2-1 consists of one goalkeeper, 3 center backs, 2 wing backs or wide midfielders, 2 central midfielders, 2 attacking midfielders, and finally our lone striker, the poacher himself, Shidou. So with that out the way, let's start building this team around him. Starting from the back line, we've got the goalkeeper, and as you know, there are only 2 real options here, Gagamaru and Fukaku. Between the two, the choice is clear. The skill gap is simply too big, so in this lineup, Gagamaru takes the spot between the posts. He'll operate as a sweeper keeper, coming off his line to intercept overhit through balls, while still being an elite shot stopper like we've seen time and time again. Moving on to our center backs, the main options here are Ryo, Kunigami, Aiku, Aryu, Nico, and Raichi. Right away, we can rule out Kunigami and Raichi since they simply lack the experience in the center back position. Next, we'll also drop Ryo. He's versatile and technically capable of playing this position, but it just makes more sense to rely on the established center backs within the Blue Lock program. That leaves us with Aryu, Aiku, and Nico as our defensive trio. Just like in the U20 match against Nigeria, Aryu will be playing as a left center back, acting as an aggressive stopper. His improved one-on-one defending makes him arguably the best player at handling these type of direct duels. In the center, we've got Aiku as the sweeper. His leadership, metavision, and physical presence make him the perfect last-ditch defender to clean up anything that slips through. And finally, on the right, we have Nico, who will be playing as a ball-playing center back. Thanks to his past midfield experience, he's one of the most comfortable center backs on the ball, capable of initiating attacks from deep while still offering solid defensive coverage. His tackling, improved strength, and awareness make him a complete fit for this back three. Moving on to the wingbacks, the main options here are Hiyori and Zentetsu for the left side, and Chigiri, Reo, Kurna, and Kiora on the right. Since this is Shidou's team, every pick needs to be benefiting him, and that means one thing matters the most for these wingbacks, and that is crossing ability. In the 3-4-2-1 system, there are no true wingers, so the wingbacks will replicate that dynamic, operating high and wide, delivering balls into the box, just like traditional wingers would for a poacher like Shidou. With that in mind, we can rule out Zentetsu, Kurna, and Kiora, as they simply don't offer the same quality of deliveries into the box like the rest of the options. That leaves us with Hiyori, Chigiri, and Reo, and from there, the decision becomes clear. On the left will be Hiyori, taking the spot as a playmaking wingback. Rather than consistently pushing forward, he'll play a bit deeper, whipping crosses in early, or linking up play in the build-up in the midfield. On the right is going to be Chigiri. His raw pace and ability to take on defenders down the flank make him the perfect attacking wingback, constantly stretching the pitch and delivering crosses into the box for Shidou. Between these two, Chigiri will be the more offensive of the pair, while Hiyori provides balance and control on the opposite side. This setup also complements the back three perfectly, with Nico supporting the right side in the build-up, while Chigiri pushes up high, and then of course Aryu on the left side isn't involved in build-up as much, so Hiyori is more active there. Now I know what you're thinking right now. This lineup looks a lot like the current U20 setup against Nigeria, but from this point forward, you'll see how this lineup starts to change to more directly benefit Shidou rather than the overall just best team Blue Lock can put out. So let's move on to the central midfielders. The options here include Sai, Bachira, Ryo, Kunigami, Karazu, Kurina, Raichi, Kiora, and lastly Nanase. Among them, one immediate standout is Itoshi Sai. Not only is an elite passer and playmaker, but he's also proven to be one of Shidou's best on-field partners in the Blue Lock series. His inclusion in this team is practically guaranteed. However, Sai mostly plays as a cam, but in this team he'll be playing as a center mid. Because of that, we'll need the other center mid to be more of a defensive focused midfielder. So that rules out Bachira, Kurina, Kiora, Ryo, and Nanase, since those guys are more attacking minded. Looking at what's left, Raichi would be the top pick purely for his defensive work rate, but his on-ball ability doesn't match what the system needs. So instead, we're going with Karazu. His composure, press resistance, and ability to start counterattacks with precise long balls make him the perfect holding midfielder in this setup. On top of that, he was specifically chosen by PXG to be a part of Shidou's own system during the early stages of the NEL matches, proof that his skill set already complements Shidou's chaotic attacking style. So in this system, Karazu acts as the defensive anchor, shielding the backline and recycling possession, while Sai is the roaming playmaker, who drifts across the midfield to orchestrate the attack. And now we move on to our final section, the two attacking midfielders. The main options here are Isagi, Bachira, Ryo, and Oteya. Since one of Shidou's ideal partnerships is going to be a shadow striker, one of those cam spots practically screams Isagi. There's massive potential in a Shidou-Isagi duo, and the contrast in their playstyles could make for one of the most balanced attacks in Blue Lock. But for the other cam spot, things get a bit more interesting, because I'm going with someone who isn't even a part of the top 23 in the NEL. The player I'm talking about is Nagi. He's not on the U20 team yet, but he's one of the few players talented enough to make an appearance late in the tournament through the bar 2-3. Nagi will operate as a hybrid shadow striker and target man. His height, strength, and world-class chopping ability make him a natural target player, but his agility and technical ability let him function deeper in the midfield, linking play like a cam before drifting into the striker position during the attack. With his elite ball control, Nagi can receive crosses or long balls and hit knockdowns or flick-ons towards Shidou, and create second phase chances inside the box. His presence in the final third also helps prevent Shidou from being tightly marked, creating space for those acrobatic finishes. This is exactly why I mentioned the 3-4-1-2 earlier, because Nagi essentially becomes the second striker. As for Isagi, he'll take on the other cam role as a shadow striker, someone who links to play in the midfield before making off-ball runs in the later phase of the attacking setup. His spatial awareness and combination play help bridge the gap between Sai, Nagi, and Shidou, smoothing out the building phase where Shidou himself tends to contribute less. Together, Nagi and Isagi can form an elite support pairing, one offering link-up play and off-ball movement, and the other providing aerial presence and technical quality, both amplifying everything that makes Shidou such a lethal finisher. And that wraps up this lineup built entirely around Shidou. To recap, we've got Kagamaru Net as a sweeper keeper, Ryu, Aiku, and Nico forming the back three, Shigiri and Hiyori as the wingbacks, Karazu holding down the midfield alongside Sai as the roaming playmaker, and finally Nagi and Isagi playing just behind Shidou, providing the perfect support for his chaotic, goal-hungry style. But before we end this video, quick shout out to everyone who voted on the poll for the next Blue Lock Scout Report player, as from the results from that poll, Barou will now be the next player to be scouted. So stay tuned if you don't want to miss that.